Welcome to the Strong Roots Podcast. My name is Kristin Hill, and we are in an Enneagram season. And what the Enneagram is, it's a really popular personality test. And what we want to do throughout this season is to show you how uniquely you are made in God's image through each personality type that they lay out. So get ready to learn more about yourself and others through this podcast. Welcome to the Strong Roots Podcast. We are in our Enneagram season, and I'm here with Zachary. He is my type 7, which are the Enthusiasts, so get ready. This one's going to be great.
I'm so enthusiastic.
Yes, you are. Okay, so 7s.
So enthused.
Yes. So 7s are described as this. They are wonderful friends, partners, and coworkers. They are fun, optimistic, and driven by adventure and a lighthearted spirit. Is this true?
Totally. And I think a lot of people would even say that too. I mean, the way my wife and other people describe me is that, everybody feels like they're my best friend. Mm-hmm. And, just because, I go up to somebody, I'm so enthusiastic. I want to learn about their life. I want to, even like as one of our type 7 things that we love to do is go on adventures. And as I'm talking with somebody and learning about them, it's like I'm going on an adventure through their life with them. And so that's just so special to me and something that I love to do. Just hearing about people's lives, learning about what makes them tick. And again, adventuring with them as they relive their, just who they are and how, they came to be right in front of me at that exact moment.
Have you always been that way?
I really think so. So I started thinking about it. I was like, have I always been a type 7? And there was actually this video of my second Christmas, 2 years old. And I got this huge gift, right? And it came in this big box. And so I pull it out. It's like this big, stuffed animal or whatever. I throw the stuffed animal on the side. And then I stand up on this box and I just start, there was this video and I just start dancing and singing as a 2-year-old. It was really horrible. I just started it was like, ah! But like as I'm looking back through my the canals of my memory and life, I was like, I'm pretty sure I've been a 7 my whole life.
Yes.
And for my life in particular, it's really helped to keep me resilient.
Yes.
But it's just I think I've always been a type 7.
Yes, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you wish people knew about 7s? And do you feel like there are misconceptions?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so type 7s, we love adventure. Again, we, love spontaneity. And a lot of people think that type 7s don't like commitment. And the thing is, we are fine with commitment as long as, it's the best option out there. I don't want to commit to something and then have something better come up and then be like, well, I'm so sorry. I have to go to a town hall meeting tonight and sit and listen to other people's opinions or something, right? That would not be fun for me, and then somebody say like, hey, would you like to go up to Chicago and adventure? I mean, yeah, I would love that. So a lot of people think that we don't like to make commitments, but you know what? If it's the best thing out there, we are totally down for commitment. I would love to go on a weekend trip somewhere and adventure and, even just like go and buy a plane ticket out to somewhere I've never been before and just have an adventure like that. I can commit to that.
Yes.
But it's the things where I think where we, have this fear of missing out where, okay, is there a better option? Is something better going to come up? Where then we're like, I don't really want to commit. I really would rather not in this moment. And is there something better that can come up? So then we're like, hey, you know what? I'll think about it.
Yes.
Even my wife this morning was like, hey, what do you want to do? Would you like to go have dinner at this one place? And I was like, I just don't really know if I want to go there tonight. And she was like, well, would you like to go to Chicago tonight? I was like, yeah, let's do that. I was like, that sounds great. That sounds fun to me.
True, like real life.
Yeah, this was this morning. Like, my wife and I this morning, she's like, what do you want to do for your birthday? I'm like, I'll go on an adventure. Let's do it. Yes. Like, I'm down.
Do you think that's why people just love being around you? Because you just bring so much joy and adventure to everyone's life?
Yeah, and then I think, too, with type 7s, and what you'll realize is that we like to make sure, one of my biggest things is I want to make sure other people are enjoying where they are. I want to make sure that Aubrey and Cooper back here in the back of the room as we're recording this are having fun and enjoying this. I want to make sure that you're enjoying this moment. And so I think that's always, on my mind. First off, am I enjoying this? But then since that's such a big thing to me, I want to make sure other people are having fun. I think that's why other people enjoy being around type 7s, because we always want to make sure that everybody's engaged, that everybody's having fun, that it is an enjoyable experience for everybody.
What happens when you can't bring joy into someone's life or someone isn't having fun?
So, my friend, she described it. She was like, well, you know what? type sevens just stick their head in the sand like an ostrich. And I was like, no, we do not do that. We just go the other opposite way. Like, we don't stick our heads in the sand. We just choose, like, we're like, well, you know what? I'm just not going to be in this situation. Yes. And I think that's where our, like, avoidance comes in. You know, we love to experience the full joy and you know, the bright colors. And when, you know, the dark colors are there, we're like, you know what? I would just rather not be here. Yes. and not experience that. And so it's where our strength is also, you know, one of our weaknesses too, because we don't enjoy experiencing, you know, sadness, depression. I've never really experienced any of those feelings for a long time, except for there was one time where I think I was starting to feel like depressed. And then I realized I was just listening to a bunch of country music, and I switched the station.
For real?
And it stopped. Yeah. And so my joy came back. Yeah. So
we just lost a lot of country.
I know, right? I am so sorry if you like country music.
No, I love it.
I can listen to it sometimes.
Yes. So, what are some more strengths of a 7?
I would say our ability to look at anything and just see the silver lining in it. That is one of our greatest strengths is, you know, hey, this big travesty happened. Well, you know what? I can tell you 5 things that are going to help us because of this thing that just happened. Or I can find the silver lining in this. And so I think that is really one of our strengths. And then, you know, our energy, our vivaciousness. You know, 7s are characterized by, again, their enthusiasm in everything that they do. So I think that's really one, some of the strengths of a type 7.
Yes, I would say those are right on.
Yeah.
And how much percentage are you extroverted?
So on the this Myers-Briggs, I am literally 99% extroverted.
That's amazing.
So I gave it to somebody who studies it, and they were like, I've never seen someone this extroverted.
Yes.
And I was like, well, you know what? Type 7s are known for being superior. So I'm just the best. Does that sound bad? No, I don't know. I'm just kidding.
No, I'm with it.
Yeah. So, yeah, type 7s.
Okay, so all that good stuff. What makes you cringe? What do you not like about being a 7?
So, I do not like confrontation. I do not like going up to people and expressing my negative emotions, because then I'm feeling those negative emotions. I'm verbalizing them. I'm reliving that. And then also, I don't want other people to feel bad. Like, you know, if I were to confront somebody and tell them what they've done to make me, harm me, hurt me, I don't want to in that moment hurt them too. I think that type 7s and me in particular too, we don't like to have the weighty conversations. You know, you come up to us and you're having this, you know, tumultuous time, this dark time of your life. We want to make your day brighter. We want to make that moment brighter, better. And in those moments when we have to face those negative emotions, that confrontation, it is totally out of character for us. And so even when I do go and confront someone, what I do is first off, me as Zachary, I say, just so you know, this is not comfortable for me. I do not enjoy this. I am not good at confrontation, but I'm doing this because I love you and because I want to express these emotions, because I need to, and I believe it's going to deepen our relationship together. Just so you know, I'm not enjoying this. This is not something that I'm taking joy in, but I know that this is going to help us become better together.
Do you feel like you're actually really good at confrontation for that reason? That sounds like a confrontation I would want, because you're being so kind, and I know that you are not enjoying it.
Yeah, every time, you know, I have to go and confront somebody, I just feel the need to vomit and throw up. So
yeah, I literally hear you dry heaving sometimes.
yeah, in the office, and I'm like, oh, I have to go have a hard conversation, like, you know, and it creates this like visceral reaction in my soul, in my body, and it's just it's horrible. So maybe it does help me to be, you know, I don't know, more or better at confrontation because I don't like it. I definitely, you know, think, you know, with parenting, if you enjoy, you know, disciplining your kids, you're probably not doing it right. But if it hurts you, and, you know, like not harms you, but if it, you know, if it's difficult for you to discipline your kids, then you're doing it out of love. You know, you're doing that in the right heart. So.
And I have read too that the best correction is done with empathy.
Yes.
And that is the most effective way for people to change.
Yeah, and so maybe that is a strength for us 7s.
Just the superiority.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one thing. I was reading through the list, and, you know, in The Road Back to You, and it says, your close friends would say that you're argumentative and can act superior. And I was like, no, I was like, that is not me. I called my friend in Texas. I was like, this is not me. She's like, Zachary, you are literally being argumentative and superior right now. And I was like, oh, I guess that might be a little bit. So,
Yes. Sounds like a good friend.
yeah, right? Yeah, she's a type 6.
Is she?
So, yeah.
Aw.
Yeah.
So, that being said, what types do you generally gravitate towards in your friendships?
So type 7s, we really want to feel stable. We want to feel like cared for and to make sure to know that we're not going to be deprived. And so one type that is really good for that is type 2s because, they're the helper. They want to provide for somebody. They want to help somebody. And type 7s are like, you know what? I want to be helped in this. And then, so type 2s are really good. My wife is a type 2.
Yes.
You're a type 2. And I feel like that those pairs really work together. But then also in a working relationship, I really I am always helped by type 6.
Yes.
Like that. They always help me because, I'm coming up with all of these huge ideas. I'm coming up with all of these things. I'm like, I want to do this huge event. I want to reach all these thousands of youth right now. And then she's like, well, my type 6s would always come in and be like, okay, well, here are the permutations of what can go wrong.
Yes.
Here are all the things that you're not aware of that, yes, while you're up there planning, I'm down here like actually thinking about what we're going to have to actually do. And so type 6s always help to really ground me, really, it just help me see the reality. Instead of just seeing the silver lining, like actually see, what's actually there, what's the core of these issues, and how can we address those? How can we always be making things better?
But I feel like both of those types too help you fulfill your dreams.
True.
Like a 6 and a 2 would be like, okay, here's what we can't do, but here's what we can do. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. And they're so in the same way, they're like, okay, I see your big dream. Here, let's go ahead and let's do this together. And so I just those two are just in a friendship. Type 2s are really great, and then within a working relationship, type 6s, and I work really well together.
I love that.
Yeah.
So being a 7,
Yes.
how does that affect your relationships with others and also with God?
I would say, so my relationship with others is, again, other people, you would, like, other people would view me as like, hey, that person is my best friend. Like Zachary is my best friend. Like he's the person who I go to with all my things. He makes me feel better about that. And so like that helps me to reach other people in that way, always with my joy. But with my relationship with God, I love like worshiping. I love praising him. I love focusing on the good aspects of God, focusing on what he's done in my life, focusing on that. And so a growing point for me though has been, bringing up those areas where I need to grow, bringing up those areas, even the sin areas. A lot of our core sin as 7s is gluttony. And so like realizing where are those areas in my life, where can I give these to Jesus? Where can I start acknowledging them? Because like as type 7s, we do not like to acknowledge it. We want to look at the good, not the bad. How can I acknowledge them? How can I invite Jesus into that area of my life? And how can I ask him to help me in that? And I feel like that has been a growing point for me in my relationship with God. Because, as Nehemiah 8:10 says, it says, the joy of the Lord is my strength, and so we want to focus on our strength. Even before that, it says, everybody knows that part, but it says, don't be dejected, don't be sad. The joy of the Lord is our strength. And I feel like for type 7s, we are so good at focusing on the joy of the Lord as our strength. And we're, that's going to be who I am, that we choose to overlook all the other parts that could be perceived as even weaknesses for us, could be perceived. And while that is such a strong part of our personality and our motivation, I believe it also sort of weakens other parts of our lives too.
I could see that.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned earlier that you love adventure.
Yes.
So has following Jesus been an adventure in your life that you've enjoyed?
Yeah. So as a type 7, before I knew Christ, I gave my life to Christ when I was about 21 years old in college, and throughout my life, I'd been seeking for this adventures. I'd been seeking for adventures, seeking for professions that would fulfill that need in my life. I was seeking for all of these different areas, these things that would fulfill me. And so throughout my 21 years, I did go through all of these different job opportunities, all different schoolings, and friends even. But it wasn't until I fully gave my life to Christ that I realized that he was the adventure that I'd been waiting for my whole life. That although I could adventure every day of my life and see every part of this world, I would never fully know, like, there's always something more that I can learn about Jesus. There's always something more that I can learn about God. There's always an adventure that he's calling me to that is way deeper and so much more than even just here and now on our earth. He's calling me into an adventure with him for all of eternity. And so when I gave my life to Christ, that was the beginning of the greatest adventure I had ever started. That was the beginning of it all. And even, with him, I believe Jesus knows the desires of our heart, and so he has brought me. I was in Texas doing youth ministry. He brought teaching, doing choir, all that stuff. Then he moved me to Pennsylvania to this new part of the world that the U.S. that I'd never seen before, and then again to Indiana. And so with God, he has just. Me following him, me being obedient to his calling on my life, has allowed me to experience the adventure that I've always wanted, that the adventure that deep in my heart I've always longed for, and he's totally given that to me, and even more than just a, hey, you know what, I went to this new place. I'm going to this new place with God each and every day, and also I'm helping other people to experience that adventure with him. I'm bringing other people on the adventure. It's not just about me, but I'm saying, hey, would you like to join in this adventure with me as we experience God, as we learn about who he is, his character, his love for us, and yeah. So I feel like that's been, following Jesus has been one of the greatest adventures for me as a type 7.
And I witnessed that, and I get to see that. And something you had said was, there's a misconception that 7s don't like commitment.
Yeah.
But you said we like commitment if we know it's the best option.
Ooh.
And I feel like 7s may think, I can't commit to Jesus. But I feel like you would say, and let the viewers know, like, has Jesus been the best option?
Yeah, Jesus has been the best option for me. Like, he is the greatest adventure. Following him, it's the only thing in my life that I've never grown tired of. It's the only thing in my life that I've never grown weary of, that I've never, thought, is there anything else better out there? Because I know that God is the best. That God is the best and most fulfilling thing for me in my whole life.
I believe it, and I know it. That's so good.
That's cool.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I feel like I learned a lot right there. So, Zachary, talking about God, talking about this relationship with him, what are the traits that you see in 7s that are also in Jesus and in God the Father?
So again, I think our joy.
Yes.
Our joy is so evident. I brought a few verses, but in Psalm 28:7 it says, "The Lord is my strength and my shield. I trust in him with all my heart. He helps me. My heart is filled with joy. I burst out with songs of thanksgiving." And I feel like that is so characteristic of type 7s. If anybody knows me, I'm always walking around the lobby singing. I'm always worshiping. I'm in my office with music going on, worshiping God, because my heart is always bursting at joy. But I feel like that was also a characteristic and a trait of Jesus and his strength as well, because in Hebrews 12 it says, "Looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him," not the sadness that was set before him, not for the pain that was set before him, for the joy that was set before him, he endured the cross, despising the shame, and is seated at the right hand of the throne of God. And what was that joy? That joy was knowing that as he went to the cross, as he gave his life for us, as he, experienced death and rose again from it, that he was going to give us joy, but also give us that greatest adventure. That he was in that moment providing for us that adventure that is so much greater than anything, so much greater than going to all the national parks on the earth,
Yes.
so much greater than, going on a weekend trip to Colorado spontaneously, knowing that the joy that's set before him, he knew that he was providing for us the adventure that each of us desires, that each of us longs for, that God-sized hole in our heart that could only be fulfilled by him.
And I couldn't agree more, because I have heard countless people talk about you and see the joy in you and want it.
Yes.
Because that is what, one, you naturally reflect that, but now that you're a follower of Christ, it just oozes. I was telling somebody before the podcast, I'm like, I'm nervous I'm going to laugh too much because this joy just kind of splatters on me, and I'm like, ooh. Yes. But it draws people to God.
True.
It does, because it's unworldly.
Yes.
The amount of joy that you have in other 7s and Christians in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I feel like of all the numbers, because you are the enthusiast, it is magnified.
Yes.
And God is brought glory
True.
through it. So I couldn't agree with you more. And it's so fun. I mean, like you said, everyone feels like people can't help around 7s to feel sucked into the excitement and the joy. And that's why I feel like you run such a thriving youth ministry, because the kids are like, woo! like
True,
you
they get joyful too.
Yes.
And you know what? If I can provide my joy, my unlimited amount of joy to them, especially with youth today who are going through so much, who are experiencing, astronomical, just cases of depression, of anxiety, of suicidality.
Yes.
If them coming to youth group and experiencing even just a bit of my joy through, like Christ's joy through me, I mean, that's worth it.
Yes.
And I believe that's a reason why, it is thriving, because it's something that you can't get anywhere else except for here in church. It's something that they don't experience that joy from anyone else except through Christ followers, except through people who have had their lives radically changed, radically forgiven by Jesus.
Yes. And don't you think that's why people follow Jesus? There's so many reasons, but he had to have been the most magnetic.
True.
Yes. he just imagine everyone wanted to be around him because of the joy, because of the hope, and those are the two characteristics you mentioned.
True.
Right?
Yeah, and even when John the Baptist, died, Jesus went off to try and get alone by himself, but people still followed him. They still wanted that joy that was resonant inside of him, no matter what. Even in his, times where it was dark, where sadness was so imminent, people still desired that joy that Jesus had, that was unmatched, unparalleled by anything else.
I love this conversation.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's all the questions I have for you. But if you could leave sevens with anything on your mind, anything on your heart, what would it be?
I would just say, for me, growing up, a child of addiction, a child of abuse, my type 7 really protected me. Being able to forget about the trauma, forget about all those things, and focus on the joy, focus on the silver lining, that really helped me to not be overtaken with grief or a sadness. But the thing is, on the other side of that, the type 7s, as you are growing more into who God has called you to be, as you are, learning more about who you are and about your motivations, I would just encourage you to take a moment and say, you know what, I'm going to grow today. I am going to look at those negative emotions, not hide from them, not gloss over them. I want experience them and then grow from that as well. Again, take the silver lining out of that, but allow yourself to experience the full array of emotions that God has for you, not just the candy-coated ones, because that is going to allow you to reach more people for Jesus. That is going to allow you to be a better spokesman for Him, and also that is going to help you to be a more rounded person and someone who can, again, just share the gospel, reach more people for Him. So throughout all of your things, I would say just focus on. Don't just focus on the candy-coated side. Focus on, the other emotions that we do want to run away from, that we do want to totally hide from.
That's so good. Thank you, Zachary.
Thank
you.
I'm
going to end with a challenge.
Okay.
So he challenged you. That is one. But also, we don't want this podcast just to be something that you listen to and forget about. We want this to be something that you will grow with, that you will actually take a challenge and run with it. So some of the challenges for the 7s watching is, ask God to help you commit to fewer ideas and see them all the way to the finish line. That's one. So another one is, let close, godly friends talk to you about problems and let them in. You touched on that, but it's scary. Confrontation can be scary, but you have some friends who love you so much. Let them into your inner circle. And the last one is, slow down to think through new ideas to make sure that they are realistic and in the best interest of others in your life. So Zachary, out of those 3, which one do you think you would really want to take?
I think let close godly friends talk to me about my problems. Again, when people bring up those issues, I like to divert. I like to, dance and sing and bring the attention away from it. Yes. But it really does, when I do bring up those feelings, when I do bring up those struggles in my life, it helps to create a better bond, a closer bond between me and my friend, that person, and it helps us to grow closer together. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Zachary.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you next time. We were talking about the Challenger, which is type 8, and I actually get to interview my husband. So Get ready, and we will see you then. Thank you for checking out the Strong Roots podcast. If you are curious what your type is, make sure to check out the link in the description below. And if you don't want to miss out on any future content, make sure to follow us on all our social media platforms. And we are praying that your roots stay strong.